Okay, yeah, I will. I was.
She said to wait for Abby to get back.
Oh no, let's get going. I don't. She can come in just like everybody else.
Hey.
My mic's on.
All right, let's take your seats. Time to get a move on.
Whatever you like. If you'd like to join me, it's fine. I might walk this time.
It's probably not on yet.
Is it on? I don't have my glasses on.
I don't want to be caught.
Please take your seats.
Ready?
All right, are we ready for the afternoon? Woohoo! Yeah! All right. We've talked about common principles. We've talked about concepts courses. So now we're all trained up, right? Not yet. Now we're journeymen, right? So now we still need training throughout our career. So we've got Elizabeth Doucette up here that she's going to lead us into the next generation.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Elizabeth.
Why, thank you. Everybody have a good lunch? Awesome, awesome. So just for, I'm Elizabeth Doucette. As Karen mentioned earlier this morning, a lifetime ago, I grew up around sailboats. I grew up sailing and racing, and I loved it. And I've been away from it for far too long. My first job was working at a boatyard. So I used to do fiberglass work, rigging work, work on outboard engines, and eventually I became a sailing instructor. So, life on the water was just heaven for me. Anyhow, so I would go day sailing with friends. I had this girlfriend, Peggy. We go sailing. It's not an instruction. It's just a fun day. And we're in the lake. We're not even out beyond the breakwaters in the ocean. We're in the lake. And it's a nice sunny day. There's, it's calm. She falls overboard. So I have to go into my automatic mode and, flip the boat around and do all the processes and procedures to get her back on board. I'm expecting her to be mortified. I'm expecting her to be scared. And she is just laughing. She's a riot. She's like, I should have told you I'm a little bit clumsy. Okay. So that worked well because of my training. It was like muscle memory, right? I had practiced that so that I didn't really have to think about it in the moment in which I needed it. So I say that because, that's the field we're in. We're here to train people to make sure that they have everything that they need, that fundamental knowledge. And just a point of knowledge, did you realize on airplanes there's a red light on one side and a green light on the other side? That's a maritime thing, by the way. That's a port and starboard, a left and right. So, so yes, I tease my Navy husband that I'm the sailor, right? So he was Navy. I was a sailor. Right. So, and a jarhead. Anyway, so what happens today? We get new people in, we, put them through intensive training of various degrees, and then we get them to certification, and we get them to their journeyman level. And oftentimes, you don't get training beyond that unless there's some sort of a new equipment deployment or if you're, engineering services or NASEA or some of these other people who don't get quota at all, right? We talked about some of this stuff yesterday and today, right? So we start fixing things with plan where we can do predictive stuff. Boy, these people aren't going to get any quota. We're going to have to fix that, right? There is so much work to do. It's really very exciting when you think about it. There is so much work to do. So anyway, so training beyond journeyman, right? If you have career aspirations to maybe go work in TSOG, Tech Services Operations Group, thank you. Or if you want to go from being a technician into perhaps a first or second level engineering job, right? Those are career development opportunities. Or if you relocate and you go from one side of the country to another side of the country where your area of responsibility changes, then you're put back through some more training so that you can be certified on that. And then, of course, it stops. It's almost like you're that finger in the dike guy. What was that guy's name? He puts and then we never, ever help him. We never plug it and then let him go grow beyond that. So we had an awful lot of conversation about what comes next. What does skill enhancement training look like? What does recurrent training look like? What does, refresher training look like? What could we be doing? You've seen all the different platforms, right? We can go through the review as these talented teams migrate things onto LCMS, and we can update content or modify content and deploy content in a myriad of different ways, whether that's through some of these virtual classrooms or the video opportunities or those different methodologies. We really should be in a constantly learning, constantly training environment. And if we make that easy and effective for the person to have that, there's no reason that we can't do that. So that you're not one of these organizations that's living on a no-show or a non-utilized quota, right? So what I'm asking from you today is for us to try to help build. I'm sorry, I have one slide. Okay. What I'm asking from you today is if you could help me. What I'd like to do is look at or brainstorm, crowdsource, what program criteria might look like. What sort of important factors do we need to consider? We're talking about training beyond journeyman. What are those next steps? What does that growth look like, right? So what could we be doing? What should we be doing that we're not doing today? You've heard Barbara and Valerie talk about the fact that, and lots of others, we have the ability to do it. We just have to put our heads together to make it all line up properly. We haven't done that very effectively yet, but we're going to. So what I would like for you to do is to work in your table groups. I'd like to give you like 25 minutes. I think this is going to be a lot of conversation, a lot of, developing things. What could this look like? What could we be doing? Recurrent training and refresher training. Elaborate on what you see those being. Elaborate on what you see. I realize there's an awful lot of hurdles, right? We were talking about FSEP and what facilities and FIC codes NASEO does not have. I understand all those things. Write them down. Right. Any questions before we get started? Any comments on that, what I'm asking from you? Ooh, that's the after lunch food coma. All right. I'm going to have Karen come over here and make you guys do exercises. We're going to start doing yoga. We're C. We don't have any questions. We know what we're going to do for 25 minutes? Restate it.
What does success look like for us?
So we don't actually have skills enhancement training per se. Air traffic does today. We don't, Tech Ops. We have so many courses and struggle so much to get to where we are today. We have an awful lot of endeavors moving forward. You've seen the technology that we have. I want you, if you're king or queen for a day and somebody says to you, skills enhancement training, what might that program look like for you? What might you say if you have an employee come to you and say, you know, I want to do something different. I'm a radar tech and I want to go, I don't know, be a nav aids guy. I want to go and work in second level engineering. How do I get there? What might that look like for you? What important factors should we not forget to include? I think that's what I'm asking for you to build. Yes, sir?
That's all right. Victor Rodriguez from Op Support. So I'm in a work group, participating in a work group with a couple of other folks here who looked at career opportunities in AJG, Jess Robinson specifically. Have you touched base with Jess Robinson?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was in a work group that looked at career development opportunities with AJG. Have you touched with Jess Robinson on that?
I'm not familiar with that name, so I...
Okay. Yeah.
There he went. I was looking for Dan.
Hi, Allie McDermott, ATO Employee Development, and Jess works for me. So what you're working on is the career planning program. So it's a career planning tool where we have defined positions and what the skills are for those positions, and then pathways on how you can move laterally or move up in your career. And then it gives you various development ideas. So I think that there's a linkage, but this activity is a little different.
Yeah, if
That's where I know you from.
Yeah.
I've been like, I know her. That's
where.
I was helping with that team develop that. Yeah.
If
Long
I can
time ago.
add on to what Elizabeth and Allie have said, this really is to get your input as to if there's going to be recurrent training. What systems need to be recurrent training? What do we need on recurrent training? Do we need to have refresher training? And if we do have to have refresher training, what requires refresher training? That's all part of this. This is a big umbrella over where our training is going to go in the future beyond becoming a journeyman. It's beyond becoming a journeyman. Okay? So I go to VOR training, I get VOR training, and then I don't see a VOR for 10 years. I don't get retrained on that. All of a sudden one day I get a call and say, hey, go fix a VOR. Is that the way that we really want to do business? That's what this is for. Okay? In addition to, if this individual wants to become an OESG, a second level engineer, what does that look like? It may be some of the same stuff, it may be different, but you have a wide range of things that you can actually take a look at and where you want to go with it. But this is your input. This is from you all. Where do you all think that all this needs to go?
Mike Eidenshank, Academy. I got a question. When a person goes through training, this is for me to learn as well. When a person goes through training and goes through OJT, certification exam, once they're certified, is that a blessing for the rest of your life? Or is that something that you can lose because you never worked on the equipment?
Well, if you want, would you like to answer that?
It's 2 years. If you hadn't certified the equipment in 2 years, I'm sorry, Alan Seacrest, Jacksonville, PSS, you have 2 years to certify the equipment. If you haven't certified it in 2 years, you need to be made inactive. Okay? Annual review should catch it.
Yeah, the annual review asks if the individual has seen the equipment the past 2 years. That doesn't mean that they've worked on it to any extent, just that they have gone to the site and seen it. So.
Christy, Indianapolis, PSS, and I want to add on to what Alan was sharing with you. Before it can be made reactivated and enable you to recertify that equipment, you have to go through a formal process of either retraining, additional OJT, or another performance exam.
Other questions? Donna, can we get a mic for, oh.
Donna Muse, PSS, Boston District. What, and that, I just brought up a good question I was discussing with Jim. What methodology are we using to actually track whether a specialist is certifying all equipment they're certified on within the 2-year period?
Actually, this is Pat, Tech Ops. Does not the RMLS now checks for the if there's not been an LCE, which proves that you've completed a certification? RMLS is the remote monitoring logging system. So an LCE is an actual entry time stamped on a given system. And if it's not, correct me if I'm wrong, but and that is in place, and I think it even shows up in the TOT now.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So I think that we're missing the target. What we are asking is, if you don't think that we need to have refresher training or recurrent training, then say that. But if you do think that we need to have it, what does it look like? Okay? As far as how we're tracking it and all that other stuff, we will do that outside of this. We have our activity today is to say training beyond journeyman. What does that look like?
This is Pat again. I'm sorry, Bill. Is there a threshold for the amount of a course will change that spawns that triggers the need for some training, whether it's a refresh or what's the other term people use? Delta?
Recurrent?
So maybe AMA can...
Recurrent training?
Well, I guess I'm not going to so much the label, whether it's Delta or recurrent or whatever. What I'm asking is, for example, a system changes significantly, whether it's 10 or 25 or 50%. Is there a trigger, and what happens when it does? Is there a need to create, to have some training to come back and take that, whether you call that a Delta, recurring, sorry?
Isn't it true that if the Mary MOCC, if the cert requirement changes, if you got new equipment coming in, you got a new requirement, a new certification requirement? Isn't that true? And that will also trigger out what training's required.
William Bergman, I'm ERAM, Article 13 rep. As far as ERAM goes, we have new software builds, EAD 600, 700, every so often, and every 56 days we have a chart update, a national chart update. Whenever we have a new software build that we install, we should have some type of training. Right now there are ELMS briefings, but I don't find them adequate enough. Air traffic gets their training and updates all the time whenever there's something new with the software because it changes their functionality. As far as tech ops goes, when we have a major build change, like from 600 to 700, and 700's coming up real soon, I feel like the SOC drivers in particular should have more than just a 1-hour briefing. So I don't know what % that would be for training. As far as refresher recurrent training, as I said yesterday, flight attendants get it every year. A tech ops person, I feel like they should get their cert exam retaken or something similar every other year, maybe every 3 years, depending on what we come up with. But right now, it's not adequate to just certify and then leave them. They might not touch the equipment for 3, 4, 5 years, and then what?
Sure. So if I may check back to your, what do we think about a recurring, refreshing training? And the thought is, the system changes to a certain degree. Does that trigger the need for additional training? Someone has completed a course, the system has changed to a certain degree. It changes the course, presumably. A new module, new lab. Who knows what the change was? what level does it go up to? Because you're right, ERAM has changed 6 or 7 times since most of your folks have been trained, and they have not come back and taken training for a very different system, and it's somewhere between 30 and 40% probably, depending on how you look at it. So maybe the question would be, is there a process, and it would be nice to know if there is a process that monitors the changes in a system that would trigger the need for refresh, something like that.
So people on text, a couple things here. First, would you please differentiate between refresher and recurrent training? So basically define them. Anybody? Anybody? Like, you need Mike.
Refresher training is training that you have already had. It's an update. It's an update to something that you've had. The example that is always used, that always comes up, is that we train a system specialist on an ILS. We talk about the flight inspection piece, just the flight inspection piece. So they will still may certify as a system every month. They may do PMs on it every month, but they may not do a flight inspection on it for 6 years. But the most critical part of maintaining an ILS is the flight inspection piece. So what they are looking for is, should we do refresher training every other year to be able to reinstill the skills for doing a flight inspection? That's refresher. Recurrent training would be something like CPR, electrical safety course. That's over a given periodicity, they have to take the course again. Savvy is something that is recurrent training. Everyone loves Savvy. As a matter of fact, it's due, right? So, but that's recurrent. That's the difference between a recurrent has a periodicity to it.
Yes, sir.
Brian Edlin, AJW 133. Just a thought. Maybe we're thinking about this too deep for equipment. Thinking of the private industry, when I hear journeyman, I think of your HVAC guys, your electrical repairmen. They are journeymen, and to hold their journeyman card every year, they have to keep training updated. It might not be specifically towards what equipment they're working on, and in our world, we could make it to where we align with AOV. They have nav orders that they're tested on yearly or whatever, instead of specific equipment. That's just a thought.
Sounds like a possible program criteria, right? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this person wants to know, how should virtual participants provide ideas for the Beyond Journeyman recurrent training? So you need to text them to this number that you asked the question at. Please do that. I assume we're actually going to get to the tabletop discussions, and then we'll hear from people in the field that texted in. Another one, and I'm really not sure how this pertains, but that's neither here nor there. What delivery platforms should be included as we have this discussion?
I would encourage the conversation or the ideas to include everything delivery, all the delivery methods you've seen here since you've been here. I mean, really, let's ideate, let's build, let's create, what was the word? Disrupt. Let's not think about the boundaries of today. Think disruptively. Anything that you think is a good idea, that's what we're here to harvest from you. That's what we're here to try to build upon.
Tom Ferrando, Portland Frontline Manager. Go Soupco. How many people are aware of the service improvement seminars and the service improvement workshops that are being put on by technical support? All of my HVAC technicians in the last year have attended an HVAC workshop to enhance those skills that they haven't maybe used for a few years. Later here in a couple of weeks, they're having another one in Seattle, a service improvement seminar for lighted nav aids. I've already sent one of my people to the ILS one. So those opportunities are out there. I don't know if they're doing it all across the country in all the service areas, but those are opportunities that are there. If you want to call it refresher or training, that's what's being done right now.
To include, to build on what you said, to include that we have tiger teams that go around and do things today, right? When we actually have, I don't know, a VOR tiger team, because we're seeing trends for needs in the NAS, right? Does that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hopefully an easy one. The field would like to know, or people watching would like to know who they can send email suggestions to regarding this topic.
Elizabeth.doucette@faa.gov. Let me spell that for you. Elizabeth, Elizabeth, Doucette, no H, Doucette, @faa.gov.
Okay. How long do they have, Elizabeth?
How about 20, how about we start report outs at quarter till?
Go create.
Okay, we're coming up on the time to do some report outs. Start to finish up. Give them more time. Okay, you have 5 minutes to finish up. We're going to start report outs at that time. 5 minutes.
Okay, let's go ahead and finish up now. Please have your ideas written down on the same paper that you did before so that we can collect them when we're done.
we'll start in the back. Okay. Okay, everyone. I think we're going to actually start trying to gather ideas, and we're going to start in the back of the room this time. We'd like about 4 minutes per table. You can go through your criteria, whatever it is you might have, and I have a couple from that I've collected. Yes, sir.
Okay, Chris Domini, NASA Technical Services Division. We came up with quite a few ideas. One is if like a new piece of test equipment comes out, create some kind of it could be formal or informal, little video or short training that can be conducted either distance learning or whatever needs to be done for that specific piece of equipment. Also, at the Academy, they have something in AMA 23 called Sharing Instructor Techniques. It's a pretty good, I guess, segue to what we could do also for Tech Ops. They take senior instructors that have some pretty unique ways of doing instruction, and they use that experience to share that with other instructors to gain that additional experience with them. So we can do the same thing with, like, say, technicians out in the field that are exceptional for their areas, and then use them to train the not less exceptional, but less folks that could use that knowledge. Also, another idea would be for the senior techs to shadow a developmental, and then let the developmental do the work, and then just back up when they need it. Let them learn that way, and just be there in case. Because air traffic does the same thing. They have someone sitting back there when their developmentals are controlling traffic, and they take over if something happens. So the safety backup. And then video on demand, and I think that falls into the video repository, having snippets of video that you can search, and it's sort of like the YouTube, but the FAA tube, I think, is what we talked about. But having ability to search for specific maybe procedures that you may need to be reacquainted with, and say like replacing a power module on a UPS, for instance. That's actually something that can easily be destroyed the first time you try to do that, so you may want to refresh your memory on how that happens before you actually do that and destroy a $6,000 piece of part. So that, and also just-in-time training is basically, I think we've heard that before. So not to monopolize anybody else's time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mike Eidenshank, I'm at the Academy. Our table, we talked quite a bit about sort of the same things in relating to videos. We sort of came from the approach as, you know, a person comes to the Academy one time, they get the training, they get to go through the full Monty once, and then they go out there, and the course changes over time. That if we had, again, it sort of falls in lines with the video repository, but maybe periodically each course is videoed and maintained in a library that would allow a person who took a course X number of years ago or any time to come in, review the video of the current training, just to get a knowledge of what's changed over the years from the time they went. And it would just be, you know, obviously we always talked about, you know, it has to be just a support tool, not a, well, this is what I learned on the video. So we'd have to have some sort of way of right off the front saying, hey, this is for information only type of thing if you're doing it and you're not in the class. We also talked about some of the videos that we currently have on what we call FIST that are very good videos for some of the things we talked about, refresher training, those things that you don't get taught here. I'm a radar guy by trade, so I trained radars and I've worked on radars, but every class I've been to, we never drained the oil in the pedestal. We've never changed out gear motors. We never changed out feed horns. But we did develop a video for some of the maintenance, and that video now is used throughout the NAS. Some of the folks had gotten it through a CD because when we built it, we made CDs and distribute them, but it is on our FIST downloads right now. And we also have a video on there on how to change a klystron on an ASR9. But my cohort here, next door to me, she just Googled ASR9 klystron, and guess what? There's a video on how to change or at least align a klystron. It's not official. Yeah, but it's on YouTube. Another thing we sort of talked about was career advancement. We asked the question, does in the field, if a person wants to improve their skills and it's beneficial to the organization, does the FAA in the tech ops world support self-driven training in a local environment if they can prove it? I use the example like AutoCAD. You know, someone wants to learn how to do AutoCAD drawings, and there's always a need for someone to draw, you know, building diagrams of how things are laid out at your facility. And sometimes we want to do those in AutoCAD, but you don't have someone with AutoCAD, and they say, I'd like to go learn AutoCAD. Does the tech ops bandwidth support that kind of training? You know, where they'll pay for it if you just go to a local college and say, I want to take an AutoCAD class. I didn't know the answer to that. Some of them said, yeah, they do support that. So maybe using that type of a tool to actually get more people to self-drive themselves if they know the agency supports that. And I think that's about it. It's from our team.
Great, thank you. Who is it?
It's him. No. Okay, let's see. We may have gotten some of these in the wrong categories, but I'm going to try and capture what we spoke about. For criteria, obviously H-band. My name is Krista Jeffson, and I am from the Anchorage District. Thank you for asking. Okay, so for criteria, we had a major change to form, fit, and function of a system. That would be criteria for beyond journeyman refresher training. Also, if a supervisor who believes an employee could benefit from additional training or need refresher training, they could assign it. Not necessarily as like a remedial type thing, but just an enhancement type of thing. Some of the factors we had were, unlike SSMs for briefing items, we talked briefly about, you know, air traffic does CEDAR briefings. They go in and they read them, they acknowledge that they've read them, they hopefully pay attention to them. But we could probably do the same thing in ELMS. I'm not sure if we could get everybody in CEDAR, but maybe ELMS briefing items would be a good thing. But then also the accountability of the managers to have those folks go in and actually review those briefings might be beneficial. Let's see, refresher training. We had an example come up where someone's been trained on a system that hasn't deployed yet. They're sitting there for a couple of years, and then they're expected to go, you know, work on the system, and so much time has expired that it's kind of irrelevant. You'd have to refresh them. So in that scenario, we came up with 9 months as a good benchmark for a refresher for someone that's had the training and hasn't, you know, been able to work on anything. Also, to have some sort of recurrent training so that before the AOV requirement where you time out after 2 years, if something pops up, to prevent that from happening and prevent someone from going inactive, kind of a preventative measure and a, hey, you're going to go inactive if you don't do an entry or a certification. Skill enhancements, we had a suggestion for a scenario-based type refresher with VTC and ELMS combination, where your skills would be enhanced by, you know, thinking through the problem, or even a real-life example that you could give to another tech that maybe hadn't had that experience. We also had mentoring of younger techs by senior techs. I think I heard that somewhere else. And monitoring quality control. And that's it. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Brad Clark, AJW 133, NAVCOM support team. We had a real good working group, but I want to give a little bit of my background before I can summarize it for you real quick. Chuck, how long were you acting in DSSC manager? Yeah. Okay. I was Chuck and I were technicians back in Indianapolis together. I was in the field for 10 years, went to NASTEP for 6, and then came back to Indy as the SSC manager, following behind Chuck. And when Chuck inherited the unit, we had, out of all the SSCs in the district, we had the worst SSC with need for training and training versus certified. Chuck got it started in the right direction, and we became the best SSC, and I give a lot of credit to Christy Fishel. She is the best PSS in the nation, and she helped me get through that. During that time, we built the air traffic control tower there at Indy, so it's only 10 years old now. But anyway, I was in there for 6 years before I got out before I killed myself, so it was too much. But anyway, we say to AJ, it's time. I didn't mean to scare you. Anyway, to summarize for AMA and AJI, this is not your issue. This is a management issue, and it can be done. They got to work collaboratively with the technicians. But anyway, if you can't keep your hands off of it, we recommend the timing could be right to have modules as you develop courses that we talked about the other day, to where they can just go back and pull out a summary or a certain module. But some of the factors we talked about were, we've kind of, when we went from the 856 to the 2101, we're now jacks of all trades and masters of none. We kind of talked about the airline recurrent training. That's standardized. That's on a specific, and it's the same thing, whereas we got VORs, ILSs, all kinds of equipment, so it'd be tough to keep up on. Another factor is as we head towards reliability-centered maintenance, if we ever get there, we're going to see less and less of the equipment too, because we're going to be seeing it based on failure. So those are some of the factors we talked about. Said it should be need-based versus time-based. Am I forgetting anything else, you guys? Oh, and yeah, and certain triggers. Alice mentioned NASTEP, and I don't know, since I've been there, I don't know if they still touch on technician proficiency or not, if they identify it, but there was an avenue for that to be identified. And again, working collaboratively with your techs to see what they need. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Aldo Sella, Oakland District. It's going to be pretty short. Ditto. You've already heard most of it. But we did talk about the possibility of annual or biannual refresher for test equipment that you've been trained on. Not necessarily what is a certifiable piece of equipment, but what you've been trained on. And that might actually help to satisfy that two-year look into the certification records to see whether or not you've actually touched the system. That might be another avenue of keeping that certification current. And the type of training could be any of the above. On some of the very complex systems, it might require some sort of a short resident training, but generally an on-demand or VTC, ELMS, something like that, from an approved video library or toolbox that could actually be assigned in ELMS and get course credit for it. So there is a history of that refresher being done. The other things that we talked about, I think were said over here too, career development and skills development for people that want to go above and beyond where they are or have other aspirations. And I think that's about it, right?
Thank you very much.
Phil Lozano with NASEO. Our group had a couple topics, one near and dear to me. I think TechOps as a whole needs to look at how we define our strategic requirements for training. I think that's usually domain specific. John Wozniak can testify. If it's not in the requirements, you're not going to get it. The program office will provide us what we need as long as we have some strategic vision with the way we go forward. So if that it calls for recurring training to be, or refresher training being developed at the same time as a new course, you know, they'll deliver on what we ask as long as we have proper requirements defined. So, you know, that's a chance for us to get that done early and often. Let's see, one suggestion is to, I think it was said in a previous section, but tying in the SSR, the System Service Review, tie those reviews into refresher training requirement. So at that point, there may be a training deficiency that needs to be addressed at that time. So hopefully that'll help our technicians to not make the same mistakes over and over again. And then also to echo OJT opportunities, possible virtual shadowing of a SME, somebody that has, you know, that knowledge out in the field to where they're providing that OJT. Maybe it's not always on hand, but another facility has that person available for you. So reaching out to our other SSEs to gain that knowledge and work with those senior technicians.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm Ryan Tribune. I'm with AJI 2300 out of DC. We went over a lot of things that were discussed already by other tables. We talked about having an annual or biannual test to assess where weak points could be with the technicians and to recommend training based on that. Again, going back to the video toolbox, to have videos on demand ready for technicians that would then refresh themselves on equipment they haven't seen in a while. To use moratoriums or other slow periods that where the technicians wouldn't even touch the equipment to implement these assessments or actually provide training. And yeah, that's it. That wasn't covered before. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kerry Olson. I'm with Chicago Operations Support at the very best table today? All right. Some of these are repeats. Actually, we didn't follow the bulleted format. We just shotgunned a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm just going to kind of list some of these off that we discussed. One, querying the field for service improvement seminars and then replicate them if needed. There's a lot of really good seminars and workshops that are going on throughout the service areas in different locations. It's not always getting out. We had an ILS workshop that we had in Central Service Area. Great reviews on it. Don't know if it's getting replicated at all. Procedures should be done and refresher training done for very complex systems that change a lot, or procedures or systems that are used infrequently. We talked about maybe not having instructor-led training, not necessary to have a lab, but Blackboard, ELMS integration. Love the idea of a video library, wiki searchable, FAA YouTube procedures. Electrical safety, not done in an instructor-led environment, maybe having the refresher training done in some other more efficient manner rather than scheduling classes. We love that idea. Some form of skills verification, procedures from the maintenance manual. This is talked about in a couple different locations about validation, like biennial validation. This led us to a little bit of a discussion about an element of 3000.57, which we all felt should be changed, about the fact that proficiency reviews are done based upon an LCE log rather than people actually demonstrating their abilities. So we thought maybe that the order needed to be looked at in that particular case. Let's see here. Training briefings or training for order changes, mods, software updates, special repairs training videos for like a rotary joint replacement. Apparently our FAA rotary joint replacements are on YouTube already. Required flight check refresher training. That's actually a course that's actually in ELMS already developed. Not a requirement for NavAid people. Why not? Why isn't that a requirement? Why aren't we putting that in there? It's already in the system. Just throwing that out there. Sorry. Policy change to assist with cultural change. Do we need different policy to assist in changing the culture throughout the field? Incorporate, this one was a good one. Incorporate, Abigail had a lot of energy around this one. Incorporate expectations. Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry, did I just do that? Beep, 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 beep. Okay, incorporate expectations into performance management plans. Of course, I can't stop there because I need to add the prepositional phrase, for managers, to ensure that proficiency training is being completed on a regular basis. Competency, oh yeah, I was actually part of the Colorado Training Summit. Do you guys remember that? Yes. And in the Colorado Training Summit, we didn't talk about this, but I added it. They actually had a thing where they did a study on ATSSs. If you guys remember this, it was called a competency-based learning model, where they actually had, and I was thinking beyond journeyman, they actually divided journeyman technicians by types into level 1, level 2, and level 3. I still have that document. Like, I thought it was so awesome. It was like the best part of the thing. So I was like, because we could actually develop refresher training based upon taking technicians from level 1 to level 3. And maybe we should have a 5-level process too, right? Yeah. And then the last thing was in central service area. I don't know if this is happening somewhere else. I know NASTEP is national, but we do like a NASTEP tip of the week, right? And so they brief out every week a NASTEP tip of the week, and that includes a briefing that goes out to our entire community. And I'm thinking maybe like some sort, yeah, it's a great idea, but maybe better, how could we deliver that better than in an email, right, to the whole community? Maybe we need to have like a CEDAR thing or some sort of way where we can ensure that our employees are reading the tips of the week and applying the knowledge. That's great. All right. Woo!
Is Barbara King in the room? Is she still here? Say, hey, okay, Barbara, let's talk about how we can push that using the network you already have set up. We got you.
Nice. Thanks. All right, who's next? Shannon Farley, AMA. Anybody got a Red Bull so I can follow that? Ain't gonna happen. So we had a few things. Adaptive testing, I think we've heard most of these. Periodically for a weakness area, and then they could take that area again to get that instruction. But then, the question comes up, do you remove their cert if they didn't pass something? We could get in the weeds on that. We don't want to. Just-in-time training. So I came from second-level engineering for 20 years, OPR for voice switches. There's been a lot of talk about going online, purely electronic, but what if you had an OPR order, and for the PM, you clicked on an icon, it brought you to a video on how to perform the task. With LCMS, I heard them state that you could have those videos, and it could link to other things. So we should look into linking the orders to that as well. And then second level engineering or OESGs, other groups could develop their own training based on those PMs, based on those videos that would also be into the training at the academy. And all that would be CM and kept up to date, so there's a lot of oversight there. I've had that on my mind for a while. Frequently encountered problems. Again, with second level engineering, they are the 24/7 trouble support that is the last resort. They keep a database of all the field calls, all the problems they encounter, frequently encountered problems. Have a group that works with second level to create videos beyond the academy training, but shows frequent problems that you wouldn't get in the academy. So we're talking beyond journeyman and things that migrate over time as the system's in the field to enhance that distribution of knowledge so that periodically they can look at those videos and understand what's going on at other places, and if that runs across, they may have just seen that. So that's what we had. Thank you.
Dean LeGrand, PSS, Washington District.
Okay, so we kind of concentrated on factors and skills enhancement training, and we got real passionate about it, so we didn't get anywhere else. Some of the factors, and we approached them from a point of view of identifying where we need refresher training. So some of the factors we considered were the frequency of the preventative maintenance schedule. If you're looking at something that you only PM once a year and it never goes out, you're not going to be as proficient. So let's look at some refresher training for that, or even a 5-year PM on something that you last drove up that mountain to go see 5 years ago. Frequency of outages, both high and low. The equipment that never goes out, you're never working on it. You're doing that once a year PM on it. You're not going to be as familiar with it. You're not going out to repair it because it's never going out of service. Also, the high outage equipment. If it's going out a lot, something's wrong with what those technicians know about that. We also considered a trend analysis on ATSSs making administrative errors on LCE statements or any other preventative maintenance statements. If you've got a technician that is continually making the same error in some administrative function, there's going to be a retraining need there, or a refresher training. Did I do that right? Is that how you wanted it? Sounds good? Okay. Skills enhancement. Getting our people promotable. We looked at KSA workshops. We thought we remembered something available that helps people write their KSA statements.
Yes, it's online.
Where? And can we disseminate that to the field? And see, that's the thing, that it does exist, but nobody knows how to get to it. I owe you, okay. We also thought about expanding the TOLDP, Technical Operation Learning Development Program, expanding those opportunities. Currently, they're only offering it 2 or 3 times a year. It's very limited in how many people can go into it. So for those people that want to advance, it's a very, very tight competition to get into that. And when they're doing a package review, it's not necessary, but it's highly looked for. Expanding mentoring programs and job shadowing to help develop our people for those that want to advance and move into management positions or even lateral over. So that's what we have. That's what we got.
Did you want to speak to it? Did you want to speak to it? We got you the microphone. The KSAs?
Okay, it's online when you go online for,
Okay, this is Roberta Wally. What he was asking about, how to do your KSA, it's online. When you go to, I think it's FAA, you have to change it. FAA.gov, the job, if you go look at that website, if you go look for your job, everything else, you go in there and you will find that information. I will send that out to Aberdeen and you get it, okay? I just want you to have my computer everywhere I go. I get it.
Thank you, Roberta. I have a couple here real quick. A couple here that were given to me. Details to TSOG, NASTEP, AJW Academy, and formal program like TOLDP, Tech Ops Leadership Development Program. Contests like having experienced ATSSs compete to solve problems. Gamification of skill enhancement. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah. Formal mentorship program with retirement eligible and new hires, near and dear to my heart. Build experienced ATSS by having them create video library for others to view. That's a good one. Academy adjunct. Come to the academy and help teach. With new technology, travel is not required. Add pass rep or ATSS to radar optimization or flight checks. Add pass rep or ATSS to installation teams for new equipment. That's all I have as far as the additional comments. Oh, go ahead.
So 2 came in from text. So Debbie Galvin, the Boston District PSS, in all capital letters, said, for skills enhancement, we do need it. She went on to say, lowercase, well, I didn't want to yell. You know, I'm not a yeller. Y'all haven't figured that out yet. So we can pair up seasoned techs with newer techs on assignments. assign OJT to keep familiarized while instructing others, have managers participate in the oversight of some of the performance exams. Oversight is key to revealing where the focus should be. Theory, knowledge, and practice hands-on are key. Set up mock systems where possible to practice. Retaining options, if needed, should be available without a cost to the SSC or district. And the other one, and y'all should clap for her, by the way.
Awesome, Debbie, awesome.
Sorry about that, but you know, editorial comments. And then from Steve, and I should know how to pronounce this because he's a fellow ski, but Michael Esky, possibly? Okay. What is the process flow to waive the 30-day between taken tests? Example, X fails a test. Who okays the 30-day waiver to retest? Anybody?
We'll have to get back to you. We'll take an IOU on that one.
Okay.
It's done through the service center, Ally. Service center does that.
Question?
Needs an IOU. I did have something on the. Darren Catania here from the Service Center. Reference to the KSAs. I've been teaching a class, gosh, for years on that stuff and got good reviews. I'll share all my PowerPoints and my handouts with anybody who wants it. There's no information hoarding here, so whoever wants it, KSA, resumes, interview stuff, you guys can have everything. So feel free to email me. I'll blanket it out to everybody. You guys can have it all. Or we could do that and put it on my KSN site. Everybody can look at it and have it. It's got good samples, bad samples, whatever you guys need.
Okay. What is your email address, please?
Darren, DARRIN .Catania, CATANIA @FAA.gov.
Thank you, Darren.
Hey, Allie McDermott, Employee Development. We can do a webinar on KSAs for you guys under our new Career Services Center, and you can look on My ATO Career. I don't know if that's what you were referencing earlier, but on myatocareer.faa.gov, there's a lot of development links, things you can find. You can also look on the Employee Development webpage, and you'll get access to all of our services. But we will schedule webinars for any service unit. So we've done a few. There's a general list, but as many folks as you have will accommodate, and you can pick your dates and times. Good.
Randy?
Good afternoon. My name is Randy Burke. I'm the director of the Logistics Center, and I appreciate y'all letting me to crash your training party. Training, as you all know, is the foundation of everything you need to do in sustaining a system. And while the technicians are that base point of contact with the system, they're also the fundamental element or base element of the supply chain as well. So that interaction with the supply chain, I think, is something that overall is a point that we can emphasize, because the efficiency at that point drives the efficiency throughout the system. But I'm not here to talk about supply chain. I want to talk about training. We are your logistics center, and we have a number of skilled folks that over the last year, or the last 6 months, we've had the opportunity that many of your organizations helped us with manning assists. And I speak with everyone after they leave, and every one of the folks who have come in to assist us, as well as our team members who are on the receiving end, have all learned from that experience. So how do we formalize that exchange? And on a career development path, the system knowledge that we gain isn't the same as the system knowledge in the field. But that cross-utilization or that cross-tell of information raises the level higher for the whole organization. So we need to do something to formalize that process, because everybody benefits from it. And along with that, I'm also open to exchanges or career development from managers as well, because logistics is a fundamental piece of the sustainment of the NAS, and many people don't really get to touch it. They kind of see it from the outside and go, oh, it's magic and it just happens. There are a lot of things that go on to help make that happen, and our organization is open to building on that. either detail shadow program and full out, a career development path for managers, because I think as a system, the people who grow up to run the system ought to spend time in the logistics center as well. Let's see if I had anything else. Nope, that's it for now, but thank you.
Thank you very much. So I know that we've talked an awful lot about the videos, and I just wanted to touch on the fact that we are working on trying to create a central repository for the videos. And, there's an awful lot of work that's entailed with that, but we are actually trying to bring that into being. I'm working with a wonderful manager out of Tech Ops, Amy Newman and I, and we're working very closely to try to bring that to fruition, harvest what's out there, make it easy for you to find what's available today. And the last thing I actually want to mention is we talked an awful lot about the 3000.57. And so that's an important order, and we actually have to do some work on it and do some rewrites to it. So what I wanted to do is just take a quick second and talk about or at least introduce to you to the team. So, sorry, name my cheaters. Shannon Farley, Greta Ballantyne, she's not here with us today, Bobby Miller, William Butler, Carrie Olson, Kathy Weidman, Christy Fischel, and yours truly. We're almost out of time for this particular session. Are there any other comments or questions?
One thing that I wanted to do is hand it over to Dana Wolf just for a second. She has a couple people she wants to introduce to us.
Thank you, Chuck. Again, I'm Dana Wolf, the manager for the Technical Training Division staff, AMA 405, and I have the great opportunity to introduce two ladies who are with us here today. I asked them to come and meet you, so right before break you'd have an opportunity to visit with them. Lori Owens, if you would stand up, please, the Correspondent Study Office Administrator. Also, Akila Walker, who is a programmer and works with us on the e-testing for examiner-based systems, Citrix exams, and many other functions within AMA 405, but I thought you might like to meet her as well.
Welcome, welcome. We will talk to you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Man, you guys are on fire. That was awesome.
I want the yellow pages.
She wants your yellow pages. After all that, y'all deserve a break. How about a half hour?
Hey, Dan. Charger right here. Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You will have to give it back.
Yes, yes.
I realize you're a resource hog. But I'm a PMO guy.
So that makes us both resource hogs. Something's got to give,
heck yeah.
right?
We got it all. Really good place to plug in.
take me home tonight. Oh, down beside that red firelight.
start taking your seats, please.
Is this our mic?
Yes.
Should come in. What's his name?
Let's take your seats, please.
What's his name? John Recruiterson? Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Okay.
Yoo-hoo!
You need to have one of those boomer center guns.
Oh, there we go. All right, let's take your seats, please. Don't want to eat? Hey, it worked! Third time's a charm there. All right. Yeah, I hollered a few times and nobody did, so I walked over there and that got everybody's attention. The bullhorn there. Thanks, Shannon. Yeah. I'll remember you. I need you sometimes. Good job. Okay, we have another presentation, but first I need to remind you guys of what you're supposed to do for the afternoon on index cards. What's the first thing you need to do on them? What's the second thing you need to do on them? What do we want? What are we asking for? Airplanes, cowboys. Okay, come on, guys. What is working, right? What's not working?
What have we missed?
What have we missed? Okay, so make sure you fill out those index cards on your tables and leave them there when we leave here shortly. Okay, our last presentation today, training risk assessment discussion. We have C. Haley. We've met C. Haley. Okay, we got a new person on board, Brett Grantham. Brett, any more? No, I meant, I was cheering you on, come on. Brett's got a strange thing he likes to do. He likes to swat flies with rubber bands. Yeah, he likes to swat flies with rubber bands.
Yeah, really. Who doesn't?
Okay, and our third person, John Espinoza. And believe it or not, he's a NODAC. If you're from Montana, you know what that is.
Any NODACs in the room?
Any NODACs? See, I'm Montanan. Our rival are North Dakotans. He's a NODAC.
There you go.
Oh, all right. There you go.
All right. So they saved the best presentation for last. No, V, you are not going after this, V. First of all, you know, I just want to say wow. Wow. I think the last 2 days have just been incredible. I don't know. Yeah, round of applause. Thank you. And you know, a big shout out to the people behind the scenes. At least, Kevin running the camera, Ryan over there running the AV. They brought in this stuff from the academy. We have the registration ladies out front. Celeste, notes. Christy taking the online things. Anthony running the the video thing. I mean, it's just, round of applause for them. Thank you very much. And then, the second thing is I've been in training and I've attended training all throughout this agency, and there isn't anything better than being in a room with like-minded individuals that have a passion for training. So, it's been very rewarding for me, so thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. What we're going to talk about now is training risk assessment. And just to briefly introduce this concept, it was birthed out of our friends in the Flight Standards Training Division, so AMA 200. They came up with this concept, and we were meeting with them, and one of the things the reasons why they identified it, because there was a real need to identify risk in some of their courses, okay? And we took that, the AMA Academy took it, and we met in small groups, and then we went across and we met with air traffic, and we talked to our friends over in the international office, AMA 800, and we shook hands with AJI across the table, and we had shared business initiatives. And so that's kind of the background really to this training risk assessment, okay? First question for you guys. Did any of you get an opportunity to look at this chart up here in the last 2 days? Anyone? Yeah? Sort of. How many courses do you think are up here on this chart? 400? So we have 400 going once, going twice. Who has more than 400? Okay, 450, 450, 450. 600, 600. Nope, 600, lower than 600. That's my auctioneer voice. No, 525 courses. 520. Yeah, wow, right? Right, Dr. Broach? That's what I say when I'm looking at that thing. Wow. So I got another question. Where do we start? Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing requirements, I'm hearing prerequisites, I'm hearing, I'm environmental, I want environmental, I'm hearing, radar, let's go with the radar. Well, that really, is the why we're doing this training risk assessment. We talk about, number of courses, the breadth of that, and that's just tech ops. I mean, we also have air traffic and international, limited resources. I think we started the conversation on Tuesday with the strategy roadmap, and we identified, some things in that roadmap has to do with organizational capability, technology, and we're not getting any more resources, folks. We're just not. It's not happening. Accountability. That was one of our initiatives in there, one of the things that we want to be transparent. We want to be transparent to our customers. We want to be transparent to our students, to our stakeholders. And then that continuous improvement, quality. I mentioned the passion for training. There is nothing worse than standing up in front of a group of students and delivering poor content. And then improved planning and forecasting. So that's our why. What are the goals of this presentation? So why are we up here? Why did they ask us to talk? Is really to provide insight to you all on how we plan to make informed training decisions. Informed training decisions. There's a lot of great discussion that's been going on over the past 2 days about, where do we start? I don't have that answer, but hopefully once we run the courses through this process, we'll have a pretty good idea of where we need to start. And then the second part of this presentation is to seek your feedback. So this is still a work in progress, and we're going to have a table activity after we get done running through these slides that we're going to get your feedback. Okay? Sound good? Are you guys with me? Are you with me? All right. There we go. Here we go. What are we doing? Think of this as a triage process. So we got 550 critically ill patients, and I got to figure out which one to get to first. That's what this is. It's a triage process to determine the health of our courses, okay? And we're going to do that through basically 8 vital signs. And we're going to talk about those vital signs here in a little bit with C. But we want to do it in a systematic way. I worked in a hospital environment for about 4.5 years. I used to do training for doctors, nurses, all kinds of individuals. And one of the first things, we got to be calm under pressure. The second thing, we got to tend to the people that need our help the most. And that's what this process is going to help us do. It's a 2-tiered process. While we were running through and all these work groups, we got to the point where we were like, well, do we consider this? Do we consider that? And we finally figured out, again, when you triage people, You got to do it quickly, but you got to do it effectively and systematically, okay? So Tier 1 includes 8 factors or 8 vital signs, if we're sticking with the health thing, and we're going to get into those, all right? Here's C.
Okay. Oh, I'm C. Haley Cycle, and I'm with Tech Training. Okay, so we came up with the 8 vital signs. And what I'm going to do is walk through these and talk to you how we have kind of defined them and what range. Because let's look at number 1, technical accuracy. Where am I going to get that information from? Humans. Humans are going to give me that information, okay? So I've got to make sure those humans know exactly what I'm looking for, and also I can't take a lot of their time because guess what? Every one of you in this room, do you have ample time to give me to go through the 500 and I don't know bazillion and 2 courses? No. So I need to give you some framework on that, but I need that from humans. Course stability, where am I going to get that information? Thank you. Humans are going to give me that information. Delivery information, I'll explain it. I can go through different systems and get that information, so I don't have to offload that labor to humans. Certification training, is it or is it not? This is a pretty much a yes-no issue. Records review, student information, I'm going to get that from other sources. You didn't give me the clicker. All right. It's okay. I won't tell anybody. So here is how we have framed out that first one, technical accuracy. And I'm going to up my streamers. Oh my gosh, I apologize because you're probably burning up the text that I can't read that. And I'm going to do my best to explain it and say it, so you guys bear with me. If I read the majority of the slide, I want to make sure everybody understands this. So this is the range. I want to give that framework to the humans so that I can have somewhat standard responses back on each of the bazillion courses, and that number's growing all of a sudden with me. So green. And please pay attention to what is the key words in here, because maybe later on this activity might be important. Green, all system changes in hardware, software configuration have been incorporated. So here's what is a good measure for a course is accurate. Or in the yellow category, most have been incorporated. And then red, substantial changes. So that is the framework we came up with when the human is answering the question, is this course accurate? We wanted to give them a way to give us that information back. Course stability. Of course, in Tech Ops, that takes on a whole different meaning than in other areas. But here's what we came up with on course stability as far as how we're approaching that. Changes rarely occur. Now, okay, how many Tech Ops courses is going to be in that category? Okay, all right. Just to let you know, I understand. Yellow occurs less than one instance per year, and red more than one. So that's how we were looking at giving a range to the humans to give us feedback on courses. Because when we get to the end of the day, what we want to have is a calculation where we can rack and stack 525 courses. In order to do that, we need to discriminate from one course to another. So other factors, delivery, what we're looking at there is the ratio of course demand, capacity, and students trained. And I'm not exactly sure how that formula is going to work, but here again, we're still in the stage of defining everything to come up with the right mixture for that triage process to begin this with. Certification, it's a yes/no. Is it a certification course or is it not? We want the certification courses to rise to the top. Records review, and that's that foo-foo ISD stuff that I talk about all the time. And I just want to go in and ensure that we've got course documentation in the folder that shows us that the courses are valid. When we go to the survey, someone said out there, get information from student surveys. Well, yes, we're considering that. But on those student surveys, there's specific statements where we want to pull the information, because I really don't care on the environmental stuff, whether they like the food or the room was hot or cold. I do care about, when we're looking at the course and ranking them, objectives were clear, course materials were up to date. And this is real important in Tech Ops because your students are coming in with knowledge and information. So I want them to give us that feedback, that they understood it, it was paced appropriately, and it was organized to promote an understanding of learning. So they answer those questions, so we want to pull their answers and get that numerical value from that. You're going to interrupt me? Okay.
And those questions, so you look at them in groups and you say, man, that's a lot of work, right? We got to get in there and individually pull those. We have in BIRD, our Business Intelligent Resource tool, where it automatically will pull those 5 questions up there. I try not to do public math, but 1, 2, there's 5 up there. Yeah, 5. Okay, just checking. All right. But those 5, and it gives us a numerical ratio. And we can do that down to the course and down to the offering level. So it's a really neat tool. Sorry.
You done? Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to the next. All right, woo, here we go. Same song, second verse would be the questions that are in there that talk about the assessments. So we're going to here again pull their responses from that and be able to calculate. So I don't need a human for that, which is great. I can actually use a system to give me that data. And of course the last one is really important. The student supervisor post-course question, did the training improve job performance? So if you're in the role where you get those questions, know going forward, the academy really needs solid feedback on that, because we're going to use that in our risk assessment. Now, I'm going to turn it over, not to Brett Frantum, but I'm turning it over to the Brett Frantum.
All right. If you give me that clicker, we're going to end up on MTV or something else.
Okay, all right. Well, this is team.
Not qualified for that. It's team. I'm Brett Frantum with the FAA Academy. I work out at AMA 20 as the Quality Programs Coordinator. And during the break, we stealthily snuck in and deposited these slips of paper in the middle of your table, face down, not by accident. So if you'd go ahead and access those, and you have to share because we love trees. Yeah, we try to cut down on that. There are some to share. You'll see a brief description of the factors that we've outlined so far. And during our work group exercise, we're going to use this to answer the 3 questions. So I'd like for you to talk amongst yourselves, identify your top priority, and then elaborate as to your reasoning for that. The next thing we'd like for you to do is we'd like to collect your suggested edits to the definitions of the factors. If you want to go back one real quick. Again, they're on your handout, but they were back one. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah, those. And then the third thing we'd like is to collect your comments and suggestions on the stoplight scale that we shared with you. Is 1 enough? What does the group think about our calibration factor there? Okay? Does that everybody kind of understand? And so we have, again, 500 patients, and we got a team of 10 surgeons to treat all of them. So which of those 500 are those 10 surgeons going to see first? That's the idea that we're trying to cover with our triage effort of the curriculum risk assessment. We're going to give you 10 minutes to discuss those 3 questions among yourself. And we want to include the streamers to text the information. So we're going to leave that table discussion slide up so that you can see it as you're streaming and be reminded of our effort.
10 minutes.
Oh.
Any questions?
You want the factors up there?
Okay. Let me repeat the instructions again because I see some question marks out there. It's amazing how that works. Okay. First thing we want you to do is, of the 8, because is there one of those that you feel like is more important than the other? If there is, indicate what you believe is the most important factor. We good on that? Nodding heads or some kind of silence? Okay. On that sheet kind of gives you our definition of the human factors. You like that? Do you agree with that, or do you have any recommended edits? And the third thing is, you saw the stoplight chart on the 2 big ones, and I can put those back up. Do you want to, we are looking for any feedback on those 2 from you guys. So I will go back to the stoplight chart because I'm here seeing a lot of nodding heads on that part.
Sure. Can we split screens, Anthony? Maybe. And then have them also record on the yellow pad so we can take them up.
Your record on your nice yellow pads, as we have so far. No.
Single feet. We can't split it. No.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the definitions are up here. Is that what?
The definitions are on your little sheet.
These say factors. That's why I'm confused.
The factors definitions.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go around it. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Remember, after you have came to consensus on the top factor, as you're answering these questions, document it on the yellow pad, okay? So that way we can get that after. Two minutes. 2 minutes. Sorry. I don't want to see it. Okay, everybody. By now, hopefully, you've had a chance to have a very robust discussion. You've documented your response. You've picked your
spokesperson to share with the group. And we were going to start with our streamers. We're still waiting on that. So we're going to go ahead and start with table 2 because we're different. We're just going to mix it up. So table 2, you're up first. What was your top priority and why?
Test. All right. William Butler, Dallas-Fort Worth, NASA Operations Manager, detailed as the pass rep to AJI-2. I have a tendency to speak fast, so I was actually slowing it down on purpose. Our number one top priority was technical accuracy. And, I mean, I can ad-lib a little bit, but if the equipment's not accurate, how can we expect our technicians, our workforce to go out there and properly maintain the system with any level of confidence? I'm going to keep talking, though, because we also felt a suggested edit to that one would be adjustment of the definition of technical accuracy to include documentation, which it is alluded to as the technical data / orders. But as we all know, modifications, various things come out throughout the life cycle of that system on a very regular basis. And of course, that's, having been an instructor before, keeping up with that in the accuracy of the course, the documentation is a moving target. But something for that needs to be somewhere accounted for in making sure the technical accuracy is there. Another suggested edit was in the definition of course stability, also to include that documentation piece, which we could say covers many different areas. Number one was our technical accuracy. I don't know if you want me to keep talking. But some of the comments and feedback in part of this triage process, which it ties into the certification, but doing these courses include OJT and PEs because that's follow-on training. So if the technical accuracy of the first part is not there, that potentially is going to affect your OJT and P process down the line. Another comment feedback we had in the certification area, and which we all understand mostly all of us should understand what certification is, but in some cases you have systems that have the potential to impact the NAS that might be advisory systems that air traffic relies on heavily, and so somehow kind of going along with the plan, predictive learning analysis network, maybe if there could be a tier level process to kind of account for is certification of driver or the tier of the facility based on impact. So we had a suggestion, maybe impact of the NAS. And that would be all we have.
I get the sheet.
Oh. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Back to you, Chuck.
Thank you, Table 2, for keeping it right at 2 minutes. Did we get any streamers or chat boxes in while the work groups were going? Wow. A happy farmer.
Yeah, okay. So let me apologize for that already. So Rod Bell, PSS in Minneapolis, said, wouldn't it be easier for all exams and testing to be done through ELMS instead of the Distance Learning Center, which can be confusing and slow and are not updated as quickly in ELMS? And then...
Well, let's address that first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a parking lot. We will be getting back to that individual. I'm not good at names, and I've already forgotten it because I'm old. But I promise you, streamer, we will be getting back to you with a response to that one.
Okay. So I think the same is true for this next one then, too.
Okay. Thank you.
What? Have her read it. Yeah, go ahead and read it. Go ahead and read it. That way at least they...
She's trying to eat her Jolly Rancher.
People...
I was trying to be nice.
I've been very accommodating throughout this whole thing. All I wanted was one Jolly Rancher. Woohoo! Woohoo! Hi. I'll have Catholic guilt for that later, by the way. Which I'm originally from Oklahoma, so that's kind of an odd thing too. But anyway. Yeah, Baptist got that, didn't you? Okay. Wouldn't it be easier, or wait a minute, wrong one. Okay. So let's say someone fails a prerequisite ELMS course needed to attend on-site ILT. The ILT team is on-site only 2 weeks. Who funds travel to next site on Waterfall if waiver is not approved?
parking lot. But we will be getting back to you. I promise you that.
See, I should have eaten my Jolly Rancher.
Right.
Thank you for those questions. And table 4, you're next.
Thanks for electing me, everyone. This is the very, 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 very best table, so I was told. Darren Catania from the Central Service Center. We felt actually all of these were extremely important, as so noted, as you all know yourself before you gave them to us. But out of everything here, we felt that the best was the last. Supervisor student post-course questions. What we'd like to have done is, what better way to assess something than the end user applying what they've just learned? So we felt somehow incorporate all the other factors into the end of course type of survey, but do it 3 to 6 months after the fact. Allow the person to go through the training, then him or her go into the field, actually apply what they've learned, and provide comments. Oh, and by the way, those comments we posted online, where everybody can see. We felt that would probably be the best service to all. And then because, I mean, what if we just do a technical accuracy, for some people it works, others it doesn't. It's based on interpretation. But with feedback from customers, and we had Brian give a great example, you go to Amazon.com or somewhere else online, you read reviews. So people have similar product, but the reviews usually sway the person to buy from that individual. Well, what better way to make changes from the reviews of people actually taking the training and actually applied it real time in the field to see what the true value is. It's all about the value at the very end. So for us, we wanted that to be the first and foremost. So.
Did you not write this? You did not write it down?
I did. We did. Yeah.
Okay.
I have to write it. Nicer handwriting. You have to have a nicer handwriting.
Yeah. Table 6.
Where's table 6?
Conley Wicker, Oklahoma City, PACE. And for number 1, we came up with technical accuracy also. And our reasoning behind that was if the course is not accurate and correct, none of the other stuff really matters. And keeping it with 1, that was where we were. I mean, we did have delivery and certification as the next 2. And mainly delivery because of the fact that if you have a high throughput of a course, you're affecting more people. So the consideration of keeping that at the top or near the top made it to where you could have the highest impact the fastest.
Thank you. Thank you, table 6. Table 8.
I get that a lot.
You know, usually I only do this when there's like some bourbon and some music playing and there's a little karaoke. So you have to forgive me if I'm a little nervous. All right, so our top priority, because we saw what table 6 and table 2 was doing, we decided our top priority would be certification. So we could be different. Sum up, we had a pretty robust discussion about why we felt that way. Went on for quite a while. And at the end, to kind of sum it up, we basically said because of the criticality of it to the NAS is why we felt that was the most important issue. And then we had technical, for definitions, we had technical accuracy. We felt like there needed to be an addition of maybe validation of the technical correctness. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to sit down. I'm not feeling real well. So, we also would like to have seen an edit to delivery to have ratio changed to measure because ratio is usually 2 numbers compared instead of 3 was the reasoning behind that. And then we started to have a little bit of a discussion about the student survey curriculum questions. We felt we really didn't get a resolution on it, but we were talking about the objectives were clearly presented to each lesson. One of the issues that we kind of had with that was most of the students that come through the course, to be
frank and quite honest, most of them don't really pay attention to the objectives per se. They're more interested in the content. And if they have an issue that would be reflective of an issue with an objective, it's usually listed with one of the other bullets. The guys see it in a different way. They don't necessarily relate it back to an objective. We really don't see where that's gaining us a lot of benefit as far as one of our Likert scale items, right?
All right, thank you very much. Chris Domini, the spokesman of the day.
Chris Domini, NAS Technical Services Division. Well, we had the judges rank the tables, and we want to see how they ranked our table. There you go. And the judges said it all. So this exercise, we know that we're trying to do this based on determining what's the highest priority for which courses we'll start looking at next. So going by that, we decided that the table agreed that whichever course that Dan last worked with would be the one that we need to work on first. No, we use technical accuracy also as our number one. It kind of makes sense, but we considered several different avenues. We considered the ratio of delivery, but still the technical accuracy is still the most important piece, I think. If we're not teaching them the right stuff, what's out there, when they get out there, they'll be confused. So even if we're not training it very frequently, even one student learning the wrong thing could be detrimental out there. So technical accuracy definitely is number one. We didn't have any changes to the definitions because we didn't get there. We didn't decide on which one we liked or wanted to change better. But for the scale, one of the things that we looked at was the tech manuals. If they don't change, doesn't mean the information is right. It can actually be wrong. They just don't change. Okay, so that's all we had.
All right. Thank you. And the number one table. First to stand up.
Okay, can you hear me now? This is the best table, infinity and beyond. So.
And you are?
Amy Brummett, AJI, Quota Management. For the most important factor, I have to give full disclosure, and Dean was not 100% on board with this one, but we decided certification also. We were looking at our limited resources, and considering our limited resources, we kind of needed to narrow down to the most important to the NAS also. If there was an accident, what would happen, and they would immediately go to the certification. So that's what we did. Did I miss anything there? Also for the changes, the for the technical accuracy, the manufacturing documents, we thought that needed to be included. So.
Thank you, table one. The very, very best table.
Javon Henry, AJW 134. So it's a tie. So for us, we couldn't break apart delivery and certification together. Because of the impacts to the NAS, we felt that was the overriding theme. You have to have certified personnel to do restorations. You have to get people certified to be able to stand watch, so even if there's other training available, you can't utilize the people you have unless these things are accomplished. And then course availability goes along with that delivery. You have to get people into the certifiable training courses. Refining the factors, we noticed that what was on the paper wasn't quite what was on the screen. So we want to point that out. The definition of accuracy, as some other people have said, is kind of similar to stability. on the paper. Accuracy really should include whether the material is correct, precise, things like that, factual. And also, I know my observation was that delivery has to factor in what the field is requesting, not what a computer system says, hey, this is your training backlog. It could be a training backlog for something that's on its way out of the NAS that nobody really needs. So it's got to be based off the demand that's put forth from the field. And then I agree with Darren about the student survey also being very important, but I think the thing that we really need to hone in on is like he said, 6 months later. Because a student that comes into a course and learns a lot may be very happy at that point in time. Then he gets back and he realizes 6 months later he didn't quite get 2 or 3 things he needed, or or the other way around. He thought the course may not have been that good or too long, and he gets back and he realizes he needed everything he learned in that course. So.
Table 5.
So I guess that makes us the very, very last table. But that's okay, we're good with it. Oh, 7 and 9, I'm sorry. So my name is Valerie Cook from headquarters. It felt that way. Okay, so we went with technical accuracy, and there was a lot of discussion at our table, but what we determined was that if the information is inaccurate, then, and because of the NAS and the safety of the NAS, that we would not go further and consider teaching the material. Also, for the second criteria, we said the student survey, and I cannot see, let me see, student survey, because the course materials have to be up to date. And what we would edit from the student survey, which was the survey that was provided, is under the student survey curriculum questions, the course materials were up to date. So how would the students know if the materials were up to date? If they're in a training environment, they would rely on the instructor / the facilitator who's teaching. The third, a recommendation that we have on feedback is the 1 to 100 natural cutoffs that drive a business case. So what we're saying here is to have richer data. So I'm sure you consider to have richer data, but if we had a little bit more data, we could have more feedback. We would also like to add to have facilitator input, because with the facilitator input, we could make the entire process and have an avenue to influence what the materials were in terms of, in addition to the technical accuracy, to add more content to the information that the students were provided. Thank you.
Thank you. Table 7, please.
Jim Owens with Engineering Services. Similar to Table 3, we ended up rating 2 factors as number 1 in technical accuracy, and a lot's been said about that, so I won't go into that. But we also put delivery, because we thought, especially the demand, if there's a lot of requests for it and stuff, it may be that it's very important for the field. So we did that. But with that, I'm not going to read it all, but we actually gave some suggested rating factors for all 8 factors, or a percentage for it.
Sweet.
Thank you. And regarding the stoplight, one of the things we thought was the green standard there was, we thought that might have been a little high to say all. You may want to have just a high percentage, but maybe not all. Do that. Thank you. And that's basically it.
All right, thank you, Table 7. Table 9 in 2 minutes or less.
Mike Eidenshank, AMA Academy. We rated our number 1, and I have to admit that Jack was a holdout. He held out to the very end. So, but he is keeping a tally, and it looks like we're not on the good end of that as a table. But you're doing great. We rated certification as a number 1 factor, and our reason behind that was, so again, I think some people have said it, who picked certification was it's directly related to a safety system of the NAS directly, and so that's what led us to select certification is our number one, and it was very close with technical accuracy. Some of the other things we sort of critiqued on the form was the term delivery seemed like it sounded better if it was like quota demand or something like that versus delivery, because when we first read it was like delivery method maybe, but you know, if you read the description, it sort of talks about the demand, how popular of the course is it. Some of the other critiques we had about the form was the word record view. Some of our team didn't really care for the term scrub. Maybe change that to evaluation. The term scrub sort of meant like you got rid of stuff, but you're just evaluating the records. Other than that, I think that's about it.
Thank you, Table 9. So we did receive one ad hoc response from the support team, and it touched on an issue that we can kind of kick around real quick before we close out. The statement was, I think you still have it. So one of the things they wanted to add was a risk to the NASC should be the top priority in terms of what systems out there are failing, what are your high failure systems, what do you have an issue with. So it's certainly something to consider. We'll take that back with the follow-on work group. And speaking of that, to cover our next steps. Certainly it takes a village. There's a lot of really great ideas and great expertise in this room and hopefully streaming online. And we need your help as we push to the next level with this thing. So if you have an interest in joining the follow-on work group, you can contact C or myself. We really are soliciting volunteers to help us because it makes it better. And C's going to take the mic.
They have a form in their packet? Yes. And what could they do in that form?
Thank you, C. So your mentorship form in your packet, you can fill out your contact information on that and hand it to one of us, right? And then so going forward, the next step, of course, is to test the process that we stand up in place, make the adjustments necessary to improve the process, and then when we think we've got it ready, we can start applying some what do you call it, test scenarios to see how it's working, make adjustments based off that, and then finally, when we think it's really solid, we can automate the process because that's what we want to do in the context of, you know, again, we got 500 patients, we got 10 surgeons. If we can automate this as much as possible to give us, front load us that information, it will help us in our throughput. And we all love throughput.
And with that, I would say that this is the best presentation that has started at 3 o'clock on the last day, the last one you'll have before the closing, and goodness gracious, we appreciated every one of you and how you played full out. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, thank you, C and John and Brett. As C said, that was the last presentation of the day, and now we will have a summit recap. So we're going to call our leaders up here: Abby Smith, Charles Stimley, and Dan Smith. Dance.
Come on down. She didn't say that the whole time.
Oh, come on down.
Come on down. So everybody, how was it? So what we wanted to do was have enough time because there's been a lot of energy and it's been really super cool, right? I mean, hasn't this been fun? So, good answer. So, wow, can't wait to get back to DC next week. So, what I thought we would do is, at least for the next 30 to 40 minutes, talk about what commitments people are going to walk away with. And so I'd like each person to actually weigh in on what they want to commit to, or takeaways for what they want, how they want to be involved in the next step. Because this theme was around learning together. And what happened over the course of the last 2 days was a lot of learning on everybody's parts. I know yesterday I asked people to raise their hands if they learned something new. Did you all learn something new today? Let's see a show of hands. Let's go with old-fashioned voting. Yeah, cool, cool. And sorry for the live streamers out there. I feel like we see your hands, sort of. So I want to talk about commitments. And then also, you know, as we learn together and as we grow social capital and embrace a spirit of helpfulness and a willingness to ask for help, you know, to quote Margaret Heffernan, part of that comes with gratitude. And so often we don't take time to express our gratitude and thanks to people. And so to really close it out, I'm just giving you all you introverts time to think about this and grow your courage for who you would like to express your gratitude to. It can be anybody in this room, because every single person made big contributions, and I think it's important that we really acknowledge that on a personal level and give people that opportunity. Okay, so Chuck, you want to or Dan, you want to start the commitments and maybe what you guys are going to walk away with to just get the party started?
Certainly for me, from a commitment perspective, I think myself in this opportunity here, it was obtaining different perspectives that was not aware of before. So I think that from my perspective is working with Chuck to reach out to the participants here of taking some of these ideas and really starting to work forward to some type of fruition in whatever that is to help improve technical training.
Thank you.
I commit to help develop the absolute best education for our system specialists and technical people in the NAS.
Awesome.
That's what we do, and that's what we live. So thank you.
So I commit next week to start the paperwork for our next summit. All right, because that means committing the bank. So we're very much committed to learning together. So let's hear from you all. What are you interested in committing to? And so we need our runners. Who's going to run the microphone? Oh, Mac and Christine. All right, go ahead.
Brad Clark, headquarters, AJW 133. I'd like to make a commitment to get you guys handshaking with the ops engineering services folks. Is Scott Williams in here today?
He's right. He shrunk. He was in that movie. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
He contacted me a few weeks ago about a course that that SSC was needing for an ILS, and I went into FSEP, and we had 2 of those ILSs in the entire NAS. And not that you guys should arm wrestle ops engineering services, but they should be told, you know, we're going to teach this course through 2020, and then we're shutting it down, and give them an opportunity, because when they prioritize their installation, they're not, you guys are not in mind when they're prioritized. They may be replacing a localizer over here before this one just because of performance or something, when really, if we could get those 2 out of the footprint of the NAS, would be, I mean, the whole life cycle with training, shipping, logistics, all of it would go away. And there's some additional resources then.
Dan just said you're his new hero.
Outstanding.
Joe Freiberger at the Academy. I want to commit to the group that was just up there, to C and to Brett, you guys. I want to be a volunteer as part of that group. When I was back at the Logistics Center many years ago, we put together a health indicators for NAS systems that was basically the support health of the system, all the systems that are supported by the Log Center. And so it was red, green, and yellow, and it was parts availability and reliability and all those kinds of things. So you mentioned already failure rates, which is a good one. Javon touched on something really important. Why would we start touching these if it's due to go out of the NAS the following year? So we got to look at life cycle. Where is it in life cycle? So I'd like to commit to that group.
Awesome.
Alex Sotomayor,
AMA Academy. Yesterday, I spoke out very strongly about the fact that the Academy is a hands-on training institution. I mentioned that our courses are structured in such a way that we teach theory and we reinforce it with lab. That's the way we do it. As a result of this conference, I'm more open to doing that in a more efficient, effective way. I got a chance to talk with Anthony about a particular course that we're both familiar with, and we talked about putting a portion of it online. And at some point in the past, I probably said, no, that's not going to happen. But today, that's where we're going, and we're going to do more of that. We're looking at a transformation in radar concepts right now, and I'm getting a lot of emails from instructors saying, you know, heck no. They don't actually say it that way, but that's close enough. So it's a matter of trying to keep the integrity of a theory lab type ILT environment in a different way. And I think that this conference has opened my eyes to that. And I commit to increasing throughput through that methodology and maintaining quality of our courses.
Thank you. Tom Ferrando, Frontline Manager, Portland SSE, and one last time, go SoupCom. I'd like to thank a few people. First of all, Christine Madden for putting the Dean and Tom show together. But I'd also like to thank you, Abby, and Chuck, and Dan, and Steve. I know the resources it takes to put something like this together, the energy it took from you, so thank you very much. This was a very valuable summit. So, my commitment is to keep engaged in the transformation of technical training. We started it with the work group. I've continued to try to, put that out to the frontline managers. Next month at my district meeting, I will be briefing on the summit and what value that we gain from this. So that's my commitment, is to keep engaged. I mean, come on, people, we learn stuff here. Let's keep it going.
Michael Flynn, Renton, Washington. Tom, we might need one more shout out. Just to go on what Tom said, putting this together, I think for me, this is probably one of the best collaborative ventures I've ever been a part of. And there's a lot of different talent from all different areas in this room. And I think together there's a lot of problems to solve, but they're solvable. And I'm kind of excited about the future of technical training. Commitment is to be part of the solution, and utilizing SoupCom network to really define what our priorities are and try to think of things, the big picture, not necessarily down in the weeds, what their current needs are right then and there, but we need to identify what their needs are going to be 3-5 years down the road. AJW, we have ConOps, we have to look at that and incorporate that into what our training needs are. I did make a commitment to Diane Montgomery to utilize SoupCom, Tom, to use SoupCom's network to advertise AQRs for no-shows requests, getting those last-minute quota requests out. And I think SoupCom's a good vehicle for that. We can get the word out to, in Western Service Area, 120 frontline managers, 400 plus using the other service areas, and we can do that in very quick turnaround. So that was my commitment to Diane. Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to say, that my name is Krista Jepson, and I'm in Anchorage, Alaska. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. When we first got notified that we were going to be attending this conference or summit, and we were asked to give feedback through a survey or, bring up some items that, are near and dear to our hearts, I thought, oh, yeah, right. Yeah, they're just going to do their own agenda, and they they won't listen to us. And I have to say, being as apprehensive as I was, I truly appreciate the openness and the positivity and the willingness to listen to all these voices. It is so valuable. And I really am grateful that you all have incorporated it in such a way where everyone's being considered. And I think that's super, super valuable. So I'm grateful to you for that. And also for putting this on. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Hello, Brian Edlin, AJW 133. Just like to echo my thank you to you guys for putting this on. And as far as my commitment, if you guys can't tell from the questions that I've asked, I kind of live in the future. So anything, any program out there that I can help modernize by bringing innovation or changing the way we do business, I commit myself to that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christine Madden. I'm with Tech Training and Tech Ops. And with Abby and Chuck's support, I would like to make sure that all of the work that the Lean Six Sigma quota management team worked on, and quite a few in the room, Dean and Tom, as you know, Alan Dozal, he was out of the room the other day when they were recognized, Darren Catania and Diane Montgomery, and we spent a lot of time and subject matter experts from each part that touches the quota management process, getting together with Rebecca Malden, who is working the SOP, which was the final delivery of that project, and making sure that the input that the team shared and worked on so hard gets tied in where it belongs. Thanks.
Thank you.
Destin. All right, one last time. Jason Lai, PSS, Oakland District. So, thank you, Abigail, for putting on such a wonderful summit. This summit exceeded my expectations, and I'm sure it went above and beyond for many others that are in attendance here today. So, thank you very much. My commitment is that, I'll commit to be here next year. That'd be great. Who doesn't want to come to a conference that's just full of fun and games and everything else, right? But no, I do commit to assisting in any programs that people may need assistance in. I've talked to my supervisor and he's already cleared me and stuff. So, but I just want to say thank you, and it was great to meet a bunch of new people and put some names and faces that I normally just see on the email, and it was nice. Thank you very much.
Barbara King, FAA Academy, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. This has been wonderful. I am so accustomed to us not getting invited, and so we don't really hear about anything. So it's just like when, they call you to dinner and you get there and they says, oh, we were having dinner at 2 o'clock. You get there and there's just scraps on the table. So this was actually kind of nice. But I am committed to work with the program offices, the field facilities, everyone that's involved around the technical community to help find solutions to those things that are keeping you up at night. Because again, as I mentioned, there are things that, you have the technology is in-house. It's just putting people together. And I love the fact, I told you that we're glue. I like the fact in putting people together and helping to make things happen. One of the couple of the guys on my team, they pretty much know either you're gonna get on the bus or you're gonna get run over by the bus. So I don't want to run you over on the bus, but we want you to get on at the appropriate time. So that's our commitment to the training community.
Valerie Cook, AJI, acting team manager for AJI 2310. I commit to remain engaged with each and every one of you. I commit to ensure that you have the resources, the requirements leads, and to help influence anything that I can with my my group manager and Abigail. I also commit to, in addition to being here next year, to be a part of the solutions, to help you, to work along with you all collaboratively. And finally, without least, I commit to share my phone number with you so that if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I am not an island. I share my cohort, as of now, is Anthony Murray, and he's on detail from the Academy. We work together as one. We have an illustrious team, and I'd like for you all to stand up, each and every one who's on the AJI 2310 and 2300 team. If you're in AJI 2300, please stand up. Thank you. This is the team. In addition to, there are some who are not present today, Mike Field, Millie Smith, who are not present, but we are a team.
And Dennis.
And Dennis, of course, yes, and Dennis. And we are a team, and we're here to help you all to ensure that we have a safe NAS. Okay? Thank you. Yes.
I'm only going now because I don't want to go after Carrie. Donna Muse, Boston PSS. And thank you all so much for putting this on. It has been such a pleasure to meet every single person here and be a part of all the energy and the dedication and commitment that everyone is putting in to improving any aspect of training that they're involved with. And I already committed, well, if I'm able, I gotta talk to my boss, I put a bug in Pat's ear that I would like to, because I'm so passionate about ELMS and developing all of the capability that it has that we just haven't dived into yet, to make our lives a lot easier and have data readily available. So I hope to work on that team and help push that forward. Thank you.
Where did this loud crowd turn into a sea of introverts?
Test. William Butler, past rep to AJI2. I want to thank Abby, Chuck, and Dan. This has been awesome for me. A little bit of a kind of walk down memory lane. I've been on the AMA side before at the Academy. I've dealt with the AJI, Valerie, Roberta in a different capacity, Peter. So it's been nice for me to reacquaint with some people, meet some new people. But I'm committed to basically the FAA and of course the labor organization, because without all of this in the team, there would be none of it. So as I have a very, in the position I'm going to be in for the next year, a unique opportunity to reach out to engineering services, anybody. Just a little bit about me, and it's not about me, but I used to work in engineering services, so I'm familiar with some of the challenges you guys have, lack of training, doing the jobs with no training, installations, and so forth. I've been a 2101 in an environmental SSE for a brief time, NAVCOM unit, worked under Dan for a while as an instructor, so I bring that perspective. So I commit to all of you as well, and past the bargaining unit for anything you guys need from me. Just feel free to ask. So I'm committed to all of it. Thank you.
Catherine, Indianapolis. Oh, come on, they can see me. Thank you for putting this on, and I commit to dogging Abby and Chuck and Dan and James Meyer and Donald Taylor to make sure that this summit gets advertised throughout the training community so that more PSS can get involved. It doesn't have to be me here next year. There's a lot of PSS out there that have good ideas, and you can get some more fresh ideas from them. Thanks.
Dean LeGrand, Washington District PSS.
For me, it's been amazing to see the diversity that we have here and all the tools that we have sitting in this room and streaming, and to get all the different opinions and put that all together into a workable plan. So my commitment is to every 2101 out in the field to get them the right training at the right time.
Luis Ramirez, Curriculum Group Manager at Tech Training. And since I'm acting for Carl as their traffic group manager while he's off at FAA, I can safely say that the Tech Ops Summit was better than the Air Traffic Summit. Right? So, yeah, Carl, eat it. My commitment is between the what part, the how part in terms of making sure that we're doing what's smart, what's right. The 57 group, that we work together to clean up the overlaps that there are between the .22 orders and development, make things smart, and that we streamline our processes. Like this morning, what we do about OTOs and FTO. We need to be more agile. So that's my commitment, to make sure that we are that glue to make sure we're meeting the need.
Thank you.
Come on,
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Valerie Murray, Washington, D.C. I want to make a commitment to you, Abby. Per yesterday, I will work with my teammates to make sure all the FY18 requirements and commitments are fulfilled throughout the call for training, and support my quota management team. This has been a great summit. I really enjoyed it. I have taken a lot away from it, and I think the training risk tool that was presented by C is a fantastic thing, and I hope that carries out. But I also want to make a commitment that I made 22 years ago when I came to training. I want to make a commitment to continue to support the program offices, the technicians, the PSSs, and the training support team, Service Center training support team, in excellence in maintaining and keeping the excellence of training going. Thank you.
C. Haley Cycle, Tech Training. I work for Lewis. I'm in the curriculum group, and I provide instructional designer leads. And my commitment, to go off what Valerie said, I will walk my talk. I will carry the torch to where this training risk assessment will become a reality. That's the number one thing that I believe that we need to work on. It's not the only number one, but I will walk my talk. I'm not going to walk away from this summit and let this die.
Hey, this is Mike Rohr, Engineering Services in Seattle. This has been great just for the sense of community. I project engineer for the last 6 years, and just getting in this role, I'd never done anything with development or just a larger picture of kind of what we do in the ATO. So, and I had been pretty much kind of on my own trying to figure it out, which I'm just realizing was a really bad idea. So I've been talking to people all over here. I feel like I made a lot of connections in here and tasks that are coming up in the immediate future to work on people with, whether it's talking to Laura about doing the job assessments, since you guys are going to be focused on ES next, or Diane for quota management for our group and making sure when you guys do have those with an unfilled quota that pop up to make sure we're distributing it in the right way. That ES, since we don't have any priority usually, we really do need to scramble to get those quickly because they help our techs and electronic engineers quickly. And with that, to get the FSEP as added into FSEP facilities that we're responsible for so we can get quota in the future. So there's not one commitment, there's a whole pile of tasks I've realized we have from here. So thank you.
Are we on? So Bridget Turner, PSS Washington District, said, thanks to all that helped put this together and especially providing the streaming. I commit, she commits, not me, by the way. Bridget commits to serving to improve training and helping however she can. She also hopes to be here next year.
Give her a hand. Thanks, Bridget.
Diane Montgomery, Quota Management Team. I just wanted to make a recommitment to my goal, which is to fill every seat and to leave no seat unfilled. This morning, Abby announced that we had a class that was, a seat that was released yesterday and that starts tomorrow. That seat was filled. Okay. So with that, I'd like to give a special shout out to Central Service Area, Cleveland District, specifically Great Lakes 81 Nancy Bravo. They came through with a candidate. That candidate is enrolled and is packing their bags.
Awesome.
Darren Catania, Central Service Center. I had to write a few notes down here. Come on. I see great strides moving forward with AJI, with Abby's leadership as well as permanent selections made in AJI. And open to new and fresh ideas, relationships will continue to grow in the areas of trust, teamwork, and communication. I'm looking forward to being part of a process of delivering world-class training that adds value for our people in support of safety in the NAS. With future resources dwindling, staffing, and funding, efficiency of processes and quality of product deliverables will be tested on their overall value. Working together has a great difference between failure and success. Please know that alone we can do little, but together we can do so much. I'm very proud to be part of such a great team. I commit to doing what I can to help to ensure that sacrifices in support of a better future are not done in vain, but rather come to fruition.
Yeah, I'm not really certain exactly what I want to say. I've been involved in training for many, many years. Actually, my passion, it's awesome to be part of the National Aerospace System, right? We have an incredible mission. It's an amazing mission to be part of it. And I still say that even more critical than the systems that we ensure are in place so that people can travel safely through our airspace are the people that make that system work. And even if you're not out in the field, the summit has been amazing watching this, actually, because even if you're not out in the field and you're not turning the wrenches and you're not putting the LCEs into the logs, you guys, this group of people and those that represent the group that are not here right now, are what I had an individual one time come to me, a new hire, that said, well, I don't want to go to training. And I'm like, well, you're in the wrong career then. You're doing something completely different. We're a technical organization, and we are all about employee development. We're about connecting people with what they need to ensure that we have the safest aviation system in the world. We have an enormous mission, I believe,
And the people in this room, wherever it is that you find yourselves, are part of the circulatory system that make the muscles work that certify our NAS safety, regardless of what role we play. And it's cool to see this because I'm going to go back. My commitment is to go back to our district, to our service area. Carrie Olson, Operations Support Manager in Chicago, to talk about that there's actually changes happening in technical training. And I actually believe that there's going to be resistance to the fact when I come there and say, there's changes happening in the technical training world, and they're going to be like, you're so just always optimistic, we don't believe you. And I'm like, and I'm going to say, no, it really happens. Just watch what happens, because I believe the commitments that are occurring, actually, that there's enough momentum, and it really is about community, it's about people, and change comes about in changing a culture, and we're all individually part of that, and so it's exciting to see what's going to happen. Great job, you guys. I'm excited to see what's going to happen over the next 12 months. There's a lot of things happening.
You're a part of it.
Absolutely. It's amazing, and it's great to be part of it. Thank you.
So, Carrie, you should have sent that guy to engineering services because we typically don't get training. So, no. I'm Brian Nelms. I'm with engineering services. I've been in engineering services for iterations of F&E, AS, whatever it has been. I've been there for 25 years, so, and putting in radar. So, I've been one of the lucky ones that have gotten training, and have been very vocal about, the importance of training our engineers and technicians that are with engineering services. And a lot of this has been around, the technical side when we talk about electronics. There is another aspect of technical training when it means to civil engineers and mechanicals and things like that, I'd like to see us to kind of delve into sometime in the future to see how we can develop those engineers and develop those employees within the agency to get better products as we go forth, because, the things we're building are going to be there for 40 years, and hopefully we give you great products when we're doing it, but it's hard to do that sometimes when we're not getting the training we probably need. But I know Jim Mayer's not here. I'd like to thank him for, I wish he was here, but for reaching out to engineering services and giving us an invite and an opportunity to come here and meet with you and kind of see what some of the things you guys are seeing and get a better understanding of what it means to be an ATSS within the FAA. I know we see you guys kind of come in, we put something in, and we kind of leave, and sometimes we don't always get to see what we've done for you in the future or what we've done for you in the past. So my commitment is to the team members that are here and looking at further developing our employees, because that is really what this is all about, because it's not just that 4 weeks they spent in Oklahoma City, it's the 20 years they're going to be in the FAA, and that whole time they're going to be here. So that's kind of my commitment, is just continuing that development of all the people that I have that do this technical training and build the future for the FAA.
I was voting for you.
So while we're listening to the crickets, let's talk a little bit about statistics.
I love statistics, Chuck. Tell me more.
Oh, goodness.
He has to deal with this every day.
During the summit, our average amount of viewers was 31 at any given time. The top states, we have the top states.
Yes.
Oklahoma was number 1.
Woo!
California was second. Woo! And who was third? Virginia. Woo! The most watched presenter, who do you think that was? Dr. Broach. And Total hours of content received, 506 hours. So if we take the average cost across the board, we spent $62,000 in virtual dollars
Yeah.
by
31 more people got to be here by virtue of live stream on average. And if you figure that it costs about $2,000 a person to travel here, we got $62,000 worth of value, but moreover, we got over 31 people's willing participation, buy-in, and awesomeness by leveraging technology. Because what year is it? 2017, it's the 21st century. Yay, technology. And yay, all you out there in virtual land for taking a chance on us and participating. Awesome. Let's give those people a shout out.
Now let's hear from the rest of you.
I could make a cricket sound.
So, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but did you notice that all of the briefings...
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Dean LeGrand, Washington Center. I'm sitting here thinking, did not every briefing relate to the next? It was, to me, everything had a piece that somehow was connected. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. Thank you for stepping up. We got a lot of emails, a lot of conversations. I think we've got plenty of folks that want to help with the plan. But I'm kind of torn. We have a lot of work to do, but I love what you're doing with the, because we're looking at a lot of that data, and I'd love to see that. Hopefully it'll be consistent with what we're doing. And there's a lot of things, and vice versa. So a lot of the things what other things we saw, I'd like to also participate in those things. So again, I think it's been great. Everything's all together. Thanks for pulling it together. And my commitment is to be here, like Jason, next year or whenever it is. So
And I'm hoping you're committed to continuing on the plan.
Oh, I'm gonna do that.
I'm just saying.
Yes, I'm committed to the plan. And to having everyone involved. We have a lot of folks and a lot of work to do, and really do need your help, and counting on it, depending on it, truly. So thank you, and we'll see you and be talking to you sooner. Thank you. Thanks.
Apparently, your stats are a little bit skewed because some people were watching in groups in conference rooms. So the numbers
I'd
are
love to
probably
hear
higher.
that. Yay! That's awesome. Force multiplier.
300 in a room in California.
It's a large population out there.
I'm Paul Parnica. I'm at the Academy in Oklahoma City. I don't really have a commitment as much as I do a recommitment. Most of you have a very positive feeling coming away from the summit, but I just want to tell you a lot of work happened for it to get to this point. A small group in here started many months ago, and we committed to making this a better relationship between the Academy, AJI, everyone else. And so that commitment is the culmination of what you see today. That's why this conference, this summit is what it is today. It's not because it just happened. It was because a small group of people decided we were going to change the attitude and the commitment that we had to making this work for everyone, for the betterment of the people that we serve. And so I just want to recommit that I'm going to continue to work with everyone on the stage and everyone in this room. I've had a great pleasure working with Chuck and Pat and everyone that you brought on, and I can guarantee you that all of these people are very committed, and I commend you on your selections. And so I just want to recommit that I'm going to continue as best I can for as long as I can, as hard as I can.
Alan Dalzell, FAA Academy, and I want to kind of reiterate what Paul said. Something I was thinking about that I haven't really heard is my commitment as a frontline manager. I see what's going on at the front lines. You know, I see the instructors in the classroom. I see what they're dealing with. I see what the problems that they have. And my commitment is to take it back to them. Tell them what's going on here. Let them know. Because if they aren't a part of this, it's not going to get done. It needs to be communicated to every one of them. And so that's my commitment for here. I also want to thank each and every one of you. I know it takes a lot of effort, a lot of work on everybody's part to make this happen. So again, I appreciate that. I'm glad to be a part of this, and thank you very much.
Phil Lozano, I work within NSAO. I do want to say thank you, of course, mainly for the invite. A lot of times my organization gets kind of left out on the side, and whether anybody knows it or not, NAS criticality is very important for us because people only find out about our organization when large areas of equipment goes down. So, you know.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a world that we live in, and of course, when you're dealing with NAS criticality, I mean, we do everything from next-gen systems. You know, we're leading the charge on Datacom and a lot of the new systems that are coming, and you know, for us, it's important to stay engaged. We've gotten commitment from AGI. We have representatives that have actually reached out to us, extended their arm. We've been working with Karen Woodring, and we have, you know, the commitment from your team is fantastic, and so I want to say the same thing back to you guys, is that we're committed to staying engaged. You know, we're kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. People don't, I mean, because we come with odd requirements, but the reality is that, you know, this is important for us to build the communication, and it speaks a lot to your leadership team here. You know, they say that, you know, the ear of the leader should be ringing with the voices of the people. You know, you guys are making that effort to say, hey, let's listen to the community first before we start making wholesale changes. And you know, that feedback's important so that you know that hopefully you're going in the right direction. And we appreciate, you know, being able to voice it to you guys and voice our concerns. So thank you for the invite.
This have been very good indeed. Thank you, Abby. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks everyone in the room. I want to make sure that we continue to spread this love throughout the training community. This love is so important, and the training is very important to everyone in here. Training is very important to anyone in the field. So I just didn't want to continue to sit down and not say thank you. Spread the love. Yeah. Spread the love. Come on, everybody. Spread the love. Spread this love. Come on. Give me some love. Give me some love. Give Abby some love. Give Abby some love. Give her some love. Come on. Come on. Just, oh, good, good. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and sit down right now.
I'm Mike Eidenshank, AMA Academy. I just sort of echo everything. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm over the new hire section, and so I deal with a lot of the PSSs and some of the supervisors. I know some of them through emails, but I've never met them, so I appreciate the opportunity to interface with folks that I only know through email most of the time. And hopefully you get to see me too and know I'm a real person as well. So. Because most of the time I'm talking to you, it's not always the best circumstance. So I like to commit myself to build the relationships that I started with some of my AJI counterparts like Robert Collins. I like to maintain my and build on our relationship with AJG. They're one of my customers. I'm a little unique in the aspect of training because I do have an interface with someone who's not AJI. And I like to build on that and maintain a commitment to share the information I get from you to my people and from my people to you. And so that's a commitment I like to do. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the area I work in, and I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, obviously, Abby slipped whatever she puts in her coffee in the morning into Eddie's water this afternoon.
All right.
So with that, Donna Mush, Nashua, New Hampshire. No. I figured it was about time for one more time for her to talk. No. So I've been very pleasantly surprised with how this all turned out. I just want to compliment everybody involved in the individual pieces of how this whole thing is being orchestrated. It's a very positive, can-do, let's move forward and do the right thing kind of an attitude, and that's something that we've needed for a long time. And my commitment, well, Jason already told you, I committed him to you for whatever you can use him for. No. But I'll help too. I'll commit some help to this too. If you something I can do to help, I'm definitely going to bring this back to the management structure of our district and share with them the things that are going on and the positive direction this is going. Thank you. Awesome.
My name's Chris Domiti, MA 900 NAS Technical Services Division Manager. I think I want to first start off by explaining kind of what 900 does for the Academy. Like Barbara's organization, we are a support organization for the rest of the Academy, so we support the technical side of it, specifically to Tech Ops Training Division and Air Traffic Training Division. We also support the audiovisual. We have some of our folks here in audiovisual for the Academy, as well as some parts of the MMAC organization. But what we do for the Academy and for AJI, we work in collaboration. I'm part of the technology roadmap team, which we're working in conjunction with AJI, hand in hand, and I want to commit to continuing that effort and continuing that we're always going to be on the top of our game on that, looking into the latest technology to conduct training with the best method possible. And also as commit to the support of all the training systems that we use, making sure they're always going to be in the best shape for our learners, and also the services they provide. So that's my commitment to continue that operation.
Thanks, Chris. Abby, I'd be remiss if in Eddie's theme of spreading the love, I want to say thank you to the folks that have helped assist us put all this together. So our lovely ladies out front, if you could stand up. Teresa and Shannon, thank you very much. Our AV folks, Ryan and Kevin and the guys that have helped stream this live to around the country. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Celeste Fleming and our special internet lady back there. Thank you very much for assisting us with collecting all the questions and the notes. Some of my staff behind the scenes, we had some instructors, Tyler Liak and Miguel Soros, David Juarez, that have put together some videos for us that will be available to you all later on. We appreciate that. The management staff that assisted in some of the demos and helping with all of this, put this together. So I greatly appreciate your help. Thank you very much.
And I would like to thank all of the individuals that assisted in putting the agenda together and working through all those hours of sitting through and weeding it out and making determinations and all the iterations that we had. Oh, Abby, thank you for your assistance too. We couldn't have done this without Abby. But anyway, there was a lot that went into this. I have never had to participate in putting something like this together before. And I have to say, without the assistance of all the people that helped, it would not be possible.
Christine, you were awesome.
Christine. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So thank you all.
And I know that we didn't get the survey out to as many people in the community that were interested. So for the next coming summit, everybody in this room that's in our studio audience will get it. And for people that are still live streaming, if you would like to be surveyed for agenda opportunities, please send to that text number that's still scrolling across the bottom of the machine. That survey came to you from the most widely viewed workshop on the seminar. Dr. Dana Broach provided us with the right content. Was there a job task analysis in that somewhere? No. Okay. But the point is, we learn together, right? This was about learning together. Every one of you, whether you were in the virtual audience or in our live studio audience, taught us this week. So I'm really thankful to you. I'm incredibly grateful that people took a chance and said yes. And wow, it sure has exceeded, I think, all of our expectations. I'm delighted. And so I wouldn't be me if I didn't end with some quotes. So one of them, how many people were at the PSS conference in April? I will. Okay, thank you. So I quoted, I'm a crazy, in addition to being a baseball fan, let's go Nats. I'm also like a crazy movie person and have a big Oscar party every year, black tie, velvet rope, red carpet, the works. But so I see every movie. So I'm like crazy about this. So I saw this amazing documentary that was about Richard Wright. And how many of you know who Richard Wright is? Richard Wright is a Pulitzer Prize winning author who deals with social justice issues. And so my boyfriend and I went to see this documentary that was up for an Oscar called I'm Not Your Negro. And it was an amazing and painful story about social issues that we deal with in our country, and that we as federal employees are committed to the civil rights of all people, right? And so the movie was really powerful, and it ended so powerfully because they quoted Richard Wright in saying, "We cannot fix all the problems we face, but we can fix no problems we're unwilling to face." I am so proud of all of you for having the courage to face the things that we're facing right now, because we're not going to fix every one of them. But we won't fix anyone if we aren't willing to courageously stand and say, I'm in. And you will have illustrated that you're in. So I end with a fairly long quote, but this quote inspired Mandela when he gave his inaugural address. And he used a portion of this quote, and this is from Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your plain small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine, like as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory that's within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Thank you for being a light for others to rise as well. And I'd be remiss to not also thank all of our amazing presenters. Give yourself a hand. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Abby, I think,
Boom.
I think we had one last comment.
Valdry's going to be, V's going to be the
You stole
ring
the
up.
thunder already, and I'm going to change my name from new guy to old guy now. So
Or just V.
I like V actually. That's kind of catchy.
Hey, V.
Let's go with V. So As Abby kind of said, I'm probably regurgitating some things she said, but what I wanted to say is that everybody here came with preconceived notions, whether you're on our side or your side from the field. We all came here with some idea of what we thought this was going to be like. I want to thank Abby and Chuck and Dan for putting together this opportunity. And the chance, you know, I just came from the field about a year ago, and everybody's perception is their reality. And the perception is driven by who you interface with, what you see, what conversations that go by each day. And so my perceptions coming in here a year ago are completely different from people that I've worked together with for 14, 15, 20 years that maybe have been here and had a different perception. And I want to thank everybody in this room because their ability to, their comfort with expressing the frustrations, the things that they like, the things they don't like, the things they see, the places we should go, all those things are painting our new reality. You know, getting those perceptions out there. A lot of people, I think everybody here wants to do the best job, wants to make training, you know, our training stellar, you know, world class, just like our NASA is. Our NASA is the best in the world, and there's no reason why our training shouldn't be the best in the world. So I think everybody here wants to do that, but a lot of times, you know, things get in the way. We can make all kind of excuses on why we haven't had training summits in the past, but right now we have a new start. We have a new opportunity. I want to thank Abby for doing that, and I want to thank all of you for actually standing up and participating and being engaged in this process, because it'll only grow from here. This is the spark. We'll see the flames next year. Thanks.
That's it.
Bye.